The Council expected a quick war. They had superior numbers, better technology, and thousands of years of military tradition. After the disaster at New Busan, they deployed their full might. 2,000 warships moved into human space. Dihai. Chancellor Vormak promised the Council would crush humanity within months. 6 months later, the Council was losing. Admiral Somi stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, the HSS Defiance. She was 60 years old, with short white hair and eyes that never stopped moving across the tactical displays. She had spent 40 years in Earth's military, fighting pirates and smugglers. Nothing in that experience had prepared her for this war. Nothing could have. "Report," she said. Her tactical officer, Commander Dong Hyun, pulled up the latest intelligence. Council forces have withdrawn from the Kepler and Sirius sectors. They lost another supply convoy in the Ross system. Total Council casualties are now estimated at 800,000. Their economic network is collapsing. And our casualties? 200,000. Dong Hyun's voice was quiet. We have lost 12 colonies. New Seoul is gone. Somi closed her eyes briefly. New Seoul. 30,000 people. The Council had used a biological weapon there, something they had not deployed in 2,000 years. A weapon that targeted human DNA specifically. She had watched the reports. People bleeding from their eyes, children dying in their parents' arms, an entire colony turned into a graveyard in 3 days. "The bioweapon," she said. "Have our scientists learned anything?" "Yes, Admiral. They know how it works now. They are developing countermeasures. But more importantly," Dong Hyun hesitated, "they have developed something else. Something we can use against Council biology." Somi opened her eyes. "Show me." Across the galaxy, Colonel Jun-gi led his team through the corridors of a Council supply ship. They had boarded it 10 minutes ago. The Council crew had not expected boarders. No one boarded ships in Council warfare. You fought ship to ship, in open space, with honor and rules. Humans did not care about rules. Jun-gi's team wore powered armor and carried weapons designed for close combat. They moved through the ship like shadows, killing anyone who resisted. The Council crew, trained for bridge operations and long-range weapons, had no defense against soldiers in their corridors. "Bridge secured," Jun-gi reported over his radio. "Cargo secured. Charges placed." "Understood," came the reply from the human frigate waiting outside. "Evacuate and detonate." Jun-gi's team ran back to their boarding craft. They undocked and moved to safe distance. The supply ship exploded, scattering debris across space. That was the 19th Council ship destroyed by boarding actions this month. On Earth, Premier Ha-jun addressed the United Assembly. She stood behind a podium, looking out at representatives from every human colony and nation. Her speech was broadcast to every human world. "We are at war," she said. "The Council came to our homes with threats and weapons. They used banned biological weapons on our people. They tried to make us kneel. We refused." She paused, letting the words sink in. "We are outnumbered. We are outgunned. By every logical calculation, we should have lost this war months ago. But we are winning. Do you know why?" The Assembly waited. "Because we understand something the Council has forgotten. War is not a game with rules. War is not about honor or fair fights. War is about survival. And when survival is at stake, there is nothing humanity will not do." She brought up images on the screens behind her. Images of human colonies. Images of Council ships destroyed. Images of the aftermath of New Seoul. They thought we would fight like them. Ship against ship. Honor against honor. They were wrong. We fight with everything we have. Our civilian ships become weapons. Our miners become soldiers. Our scientists become weapon designers. Every human, in every colony, is part of this war. The Assembly members nodded. They understood. They had all lost someone in the war. "The Council is asking for negotiations," Ha-jun continued. "High Chancellor Vormak wants to discuss terms. He wants us to agree to a ceasefire while we talk. I will tell you what I told him. We will negotiate when they leave our space. We will talk when they acknowledge us as equals. Until then, we fight." The assembly erupted in applause. In council space, Councillor Yelnara met with the opposition faction. 7 species now opposed the war openly. Dozens more had doubts. The council's unity was fracturing. "We have lost the propaganda war," Yelnara said. She floated in the center of the conference room, her energy form pulsing with distress. "The humans leak recordings of our attacks to our own populations. They show our people footage of human children killed by our weapons. They make us look like monsters." Councillor Ithrex, the insectoid military commander, clicked his mandibles angrily. "That is because they fight without honor. They use civilian shields. They hide military bases under hospitals. They sacrifice their own people for tactical advantage." "They fight to win," Yelnara countered, "just as they warned us they would. We did not listen." "We cannot surrender," Vormak said. He looked older than he had 6 months ago. The stress of the war showed on his scales. "If we surrender to humanity, every species in the galaxy will see us as weak. The Council will collapse. If we continue this war, the Council will collapse anyway," Yelnara said. 7 species are threatening secession. Our economy is in ruins. Our military is exhausted, and the humans show no signs of stopping. Ithrex pulled up a tactical display. "I have a plan. We deploy the World Breaker fleet, 20 Dreadnought-class ships capable of destroying entire planets. We give humanity one final ultimatum: surrender, or we destroy Earth itself." The room fell silent. "You cannot be serious," Yelnara whispered. "That would be genocide." "That would be victory," Ithrex said. "The humans need to understand they cannot win. We destroy one planet, perhaps 2. They will surrender. The alternative is continuing this war until both sides are extinct." Vormak considered. "Deploy the Worldbreaker fleet, but do not fire yet. Give humanity one more chance to surrender if they refuse." He trailed off, unable to say the words. 3 days later, Admiral Somi received intelligence about the Worldbreaker fleet. 20 massive ships moving toward human space, each one capable of sterilizing a planet. She called a meeting with her top commanders. Captain Minseo was there, one of humanity's best tactical minds. Commander Wubin attended, representing the Fighter Corps. Colonel Jungi joined via hologram from his forward base. "They are coming to destroy Earth," Somi said simply. "We have 1 week, maybe 2, before the Worldbreakers arrive. Ideas?" "We evacuate Earth," Minseo suggested. "Save as many people as we can. And let them destroy our home world?" Wubin shook his head. "That would break morale. Every human would lose hope." "We cannot fight 20 Worldbreakers," Jungi said. "Our entire fleet could not stop even one. Their shields are too strong. Their armor is too thick." Somi smiled. It was a cold smile. "Then we do not fight them directly. We fight smart." She pulled up a star map. "The Worldbreakers are slow. They need supply ships. They need fuel. They need maintenance. What if those things stopped arriving?" Minseo understood immediately. "We attack their supply lines." "Exactly," Somi said. "We hit every supply depot between here and Council space. We destroy every fuel station. We hunt down every supply convoy. The Worldbreakers will be stuck in empty space with no fuel and no ammunition. And while they sit there helpless, we board them and take them apart piece by piece." "That will take months," Wubin said. "Then we have months of work ahead of us," Somi replied. "Get to your ships. We are going hunting." The campaign was brutal. Human forces spread across dozens of systems, hitting Council supply lines with coordinated strikes. They did not try to win battles. They did not hold territory. They just destroyed anything that supported the Council war machine. Commander Wubin led fighter squadrons in suicide runs against supply depots. Half his pilots died in the first week. But every depot they destroyed was one less source of fuel for the Worldbreakers. Colonel Jungi's boarding teams hit convoy after convoy. They stole supplies, sabotaged ships, and spread fear throughout the Council logistics network. Council supply officers began refusing missions into human-controlled space. Captain Mincio commanded the frigate HSS Phoenix in a daring raid on a Council fuel refinery. Her ship was damaged so badly it barely made it home. But the refinery burned for 3 weeks and 100 Council ships were stranded without fuel. And slowly, the Worldbreaker fleet ground to a halt. Without supplies, without fuel, without maintenance, the mighty dreadnoughts became floating hulks. Some tried to push forward anyway. They ran out of fuel halfway to Earth. Others turned back. They were ambushed by human forces and destroyed. High Chancellor Vormak watched his master plan crumble. The Worldbreakers, the Council's ultimate weapons, had been defeated without a single direct battle. The humans had simply starved them. How? He asked Ithrex. How did they do this? Ithrex had no answer. The humans fought like nothing he had ever seen. They ignored military targets and hit infrastructure. They avoided fair fights and ambushed supply lines. They accepted horrific casualties to achieve tiny advantages. Every victory cost the Council more than they could afford. They warned us, Yelnara said quietly. She had joined the meeting uninvited. The colony of New Busan sat on the edge of human space. It was a mining colony, built on a rocky planet that orbited a yellow star. 20,000 people lived there. They dug minerals from the ground and sent them back to Earth. They had farms in underground domes. They had schools and markets and parks with artificial sunlight. It was not paradise, but it was home. Governor Jiwoo stood in the command center watching the scanners. She was a short woman with iron-gray hair and scars on her hands from her years in the military. She had retired to New Busan 5 years ago, thinking she would spend her remaining years in peace. Now she watched as 50 alien warships appeared on her screens. They are here, her communications officer said. His voice shook. I can see that, Jiwoo replied. She kept her voice calm. The people in the command center needed to see her calm. If the governor panicked, everyone would panic. Send the evacuation signal. Get all civilians to the shelters. Contact Captain Hyon on the Indomitable. On the main screen, the Council fleet hung in space like a cloud of metal predators. Each ship was 3 times larger than the biggest human vessel. Their shields glowed with blue light. Their weapons hummed with power. A transmission came through. A face appeared on the screen. It was Fleet Marshal Kexler, commander of the Council force. He looked almost human, except his skin was silver and his eyes were completely black. Human colony. This is Fleet Marshal Kexler of the Galactic Council Enforcement Fleet. You are ordered to surrender immediately. Power down all defensive systems. Prepare to receive occupation forces. You have 10 minutes to comply. Jiwoo smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Fleet Marshal, this is Governor Jiwoo. I have a counteroffer. Leave our system now and we will not destroy you. Kexler blinked. Then he laughed. Governor, I have 50 warships. You have 3 small frigates. Your weapons cannot even penetrate our shields. Surrender now and your people will not be harmed. Resist and we will disable your defenses by force. Then I guess we are resisting, Jiwoo said. She cut the transmission. Her communications officer stared at her. Governor, he is right. We cannot win this fight. Probably not, Jiwoo agreed, but we can make them pay for it. Connect me to Captain Hyon. Captain Hyon's face appeared on a smaller screen. He was young for a captain, only 35 years old. But his eyes were old. He had fought pirates in the outer colonies. He knew what war looked like. Governor, I am seeing the same thing you are seeing. Those are bad odds, the worst, Jiwoo agreed. But we have our orders. Protocol Fang, make them remember us. Hyon nodded slowly. Understood. Indomitable out. In space, the Council fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Fleet Marshal Kexler stood on his flagship's bridge watching the human colony ahead. This would be simple. His people had fought wars for thousands of years. They knew how these things went. First, a demonstration of power. He would disable one human ship with carefully measured force. Then the humans would understand they were beaten. They would surrender. The occupation would begin. Clean, honorable, civilized. Target the lead human frigate, Kexler ordered. Weapons at 30% power. Aim for the engines only. We will show them we can defeat them without destroying them. His weapons officer prepared the shot. The flagship's main cannon began to glow. On the human frigate Indomitable, Captain Hyon watched the Council flagship charging its weapon. His bridge crew watched him, waiting for orders. Lieutenant Bora, his weapons officer, spoke quietly. "Sir, they are preparing to fire. What are our orders?" Hyun leaned back in his chair. "How many missiles do we have?" 60 nuclear-tipped missiles. 200 conventional missiles. Railguns fully loaded. "And how long until their weapon is ready to fire?" 30 seconds, Hyun smiled. "Then we have 30 seconds to show them how humans fight. Target their flagship. All weapons. Fire everything. Do not stop firing until we have nothing left to fire." Bora's eyes went wide. "Sir, that will leave us defenseless." "That is the idea," Hyun said. Fire. The Indomitable opened fire. Every missile launched at once. Every railgun fired. Every weapon the ship had, from the biggest cannons to the smallest point defense guns, all fired at the Council flagship. On Kexelar's bridge, alarms screamed. "Incoming fire!" Someone shouted. Multiple missile locks, hundreds of projectiles. Kexler stared at the screen in shock. That is impossible. They cannot fire that many weapons at once. That would leave them completely vulnerable. But the humans had done it anyway. The missiles hit first. Nuclear explosions blossomed against the flagship's shields. The shields were designed to stop proportional attacks. One shot at a time. Maybe 2 or 3. Not 60 nuclear missiles all arriving in the same second. The shields collapsed. The railgun rounds came next. Tungsten slugs moving at incredible speed. Without shields, they punched through the flagship's armor like bullets through paper. Explosions rippled across the great ship's hull. Kexelar grabbed his command chair as his ship shook. "Return fire. All ships engage the humans." But the human ships were not waiting for a fair fight. The other 2 human frigates did the same thing. They fired everything at once, targeting the closest Council ships. More shields collapsed. More ships took damage. And then something happened that no Council species had ever seen before. The human orbital platforms, small defense stations around the colony, began moving. They had engines. They accelerated toward the Council fleet like missiles themselves. "They are ramming us," someone screamed on Kexelar's bridge. The first platform hit a Council destroyer. Both exploded. The second platform was shot down. But the third reached a carrier and detonated, taking 3 smaller ships with it. The battle became chaos. Council ships tried to form defensive positions, but the humans ignored all conventional tactics. A human frigate, engines destroyed and leaking atmosphere, used its last power to ram a Council cruiser. Both ships died, but the cruiser took more casualties. Civilian mining ships, old and slow, appeared from behind the planet. They had been loaded with chemical explosives. Their crews, miners and engineers who had never been soldiers, flew them straight into Council formations. Most were destroyed before they reached their targets. Some got through. Captain Hyon watched his ship die around him. Fires burned in 3 decks. Half his crew was dead. The Indomitable had maybe 5 minutes before life support failed completely. But the Council flagship was crippled. 2 destroyers were gone. A carrier was burning. "Sir, we should evacuate," Lieutenant Bora said. Blood ran down her face from a cut on her forehead. "Not yet," Hyun said. "We still have the self-destruct. How many Council ships can we take with us?" Bora checked her console with shaking hands. "If we detonate at the right moment, maybe 2. Maybe 3 if we are lucky." "Then that is what we will do," Hyun said calmly. He opened a channel to the rest of his crew. "This is the captain. Abandon ship. All hands abandon ship immediately. Get to the escape pods. That is an order." "What about you, sir?" someone asked. "Someone has to steer us into position," Hyun said. "Go, that is an order. Tell everyone back home that we made them pay." The crew evacuated. Hyun sat alone on his dying bridge, steering his ship toward the densest cluster of Council vessels. He thought about his family back on Earth. His daughter who wanted to be a pilot like him. His wife who had begged him to take a safe job on a station instead of a warship. "Sorry," he whispered, "but someone has to do this." The Indomitable exploded in the middle of the Council formation. 3 ships vanished in the blast. 2 more were crippled. Fleet Marshal Kexelar watched from his damaged flagship. His ship could barely move. His shields were gone. His weapons were offline. Around him, his fleet counted losses. 18 ships destroyed, 14 more damaged. All from 3 human frigates and a handful of converted civilian ships. "Retreat," he said quietly. "Sir?" his first officer asked. "I said retreat," Kexlar shouted. Get us out of this system, now! The council fleet limped away. Behind them, New Busan's command center counted their own losses. All 3 frigates gone, 7 orbital platforms destroyed, 247 civilian volunteers dead. Governor Jiwoo watched the council ships disappear and felt no joy in their victory. Send a message to Earth, she said. Tell them the council is coming. Tell them New Busan held. And tell them... She paused, thinking of all the people who had just died. Tell them to make it count. Across human space, the message spread. The council had attacked. Humanity had drawn first blood. The war had begun. And deep in council space, High Chancellor Vormak received Fleet Marshal Kexlar's report. He read it 3 times, unable to believe what he was seeing. 18 ships lost. To 3 frigates, this is impossible, he said, but it had happened. And it was only the beginning. The great chamber floated in space above the blue planet called Verithos Prime. Inside, 12 different species sat in a circle. They called themselves the Galactic Council. For 3,000 years, they had ruled over hundreds of worlds. They made the laws. They kept the peace. They decided who could live where and who could build what. Today, they were angry with the humans. Ambassador Tae-sung stood in the center of the chamber. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He wore a simple black suit. Around him, the council members looked down from their floating seats. Some had scales. Some had too many eyes. Some glowed with strange light. All of them looked at Tae-sung like he was a problem they needed to solve. High Chancellor Vormak spoke first. He was a large reptilian creature with purple scales and a voice like grinding stones. Human, you have been called here to answer for your crimes. Tae-sung said nothing. He just waited. Vormak continued. Your species has spread to 17 star systems without permission. You build weapons we have forbidden. You refuse to follow our rules. You act as if you do not need the Council's guidance. He leaned forward. This ends now. You will surrender all your military ships. You will accept Council governors on all your worlds. You will submit to our authority. You have 30 days to comply. The other Council members nodded. Most of them anyway. One being made of pure energy. Councillor Yel Nara remained silent. She watched Tae-sung carefully. And if we refuse? Tae-sung asked. His voice was quiet but clear. Councillor Ithrex clicked his mandibles together. He looked like a giant insect with armor-plated skin. Then we will take corrective action. We have 5,000 warships. You have barely 400. We have shields that can stop any weapon. We have ruled this galaxy since before your species learned to make fire. You will obey, or you will be made to obey. Tae-sung nodded slowly. I see. Then you leave me no choice but to give you a warning. Some of the council members laughed. The sound echoed in the chamber. You? Vormak said. You will warn us? Yes. Tae-sung looked around at all of them. I have studied your history. All of you. I know how you fight wars. You follow rules. You have honor codes. When you battle, you challenge each other with equal numbers. You fight until one side surrenders and then you stop. You treat prisoners well. You rebuild what you destroy. This is how civilized species behave. This is how the Council has always done things. Of course, Vormak said. We are not barbarians. No, Tae-sung agreed. You are not. But we are. The laughter stopped. Tae-sung continued. Let me tell you about humanity. We are a young species. We have only been in space for 200 years. But we have been at war for 10,000 years. We have fought each other over land, over water, over ideas, over gods that probably do not exist. We have survived ice ages that should have killed us. We have survived plagues that killed half our population. We have survived ourselves. He walked in a slow circle, looking at each council member. We do not fight with honor. We fight to win. When we go to war, we do not stop when the enemy surrenders. We stop when the enemy cannot fight anymore. We do not follow rules. We make up new ways to kill each other every single day. We have burned our own cities. We have poisoned our own land. We have split atoms just to make bigger explosions. Yelnara leaned forward. What are you saying, human? I am saying that we do not want war. We want to live in peace. We want to explore the stars and build new homes. But if you force us to fight, we will not fight the way you expect. We will not follow your rules. We will use every dirty trick we know. We will sacrifice anything to survive. We will turn our civilian ships into bombs. We will hide soldiers inside aid packages. We will smile while we plan your destruction. Tae-sung stopped walking. He looked directly at Vormak. Please do not attack humanity, because if you do, you will learn what total war truly means, and by the time you understand, it will be too late to stop." The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Vormak laughed. It was a deep, rumbling sound. "You think you can threaten us? You with your primitive ships and your slow weapons? We have shields you cannot penetrate. We have weapons that can crack planets. We have fought and defeated dozens of aggressive species. What makes you think you are special?" "Because they wanted to conquer," Taesung said quietly. "We just want to survive, and there is nothing more dangerous than a species fighting for survival." Counselor Ithrex rose from his seat. "Enough of this nonsense. I call for a vote. Do we accept the humans' surrender, or do we enforce compliance?" The vote was quick. 11 counselors raised their hands for enforcement. Only Yelnara abstained. Vormak nodded. "It is decided. You have 30 days, human. After that, we will come for your colonies. We will disable your ships. We will occupy your worlds, and you will learn that the council's word is law." Taesung bowed. It was a small, respectful gesture. "I understand. Then there is nothing more to say. I have given you the warning. What you do with it is your choice." He turned to leave. As he walked toward the exit, his assistant, a young woman named Daun, fell into step beside him. She was a corporal in the Earth Defense Force, assigned to the diplomatic mission. She kept her face blank, but her hands shook slightly. When they were out of the chamber, in the long hallway that led to the human ship, Daun whispered, "Sir, did we really just declare war on the entire Galactic Council?" "No," Taesung said. "They declared war on us. We just tried to warn them." He pulled out a small communication device. "Send a message to Earth. Use encryption protocol FANG. Tell them the Council refused to listen. Tell them we have 30 days. Daun's fingers flew over her tablet. "Message sent, sir. What do you think will happen now?" Taesung looked out a window at the stars. Somewhere out there, 17 human colonies were full of families and farmers and children. They had no idea what was coming. Now we show them what happens when you corner a species that refuses to die. Behind them, inside the council chamber, Yelnara approached Vormak. "You are making a mistake," she said. That human was not bluffing. I could see it in his eyes. "They will fight differently than anything we have faced before." Vormak waved a clawed hand dismissively. "They are primitives with delusions of grandeur. Our fleet will crush them in days, maybe weeks. This will be barely remembered as a conflict. Just another minor species learning their place." Yelnara glowed dimmer, a sign of distress in her species. "I hope you are right, but I fear you are very, very wrong." 30 days later, the council would learn she was correct. Ambassador Taesung warned us that humans fight total war, that they would sacrifice anything to survive. We did not list the war entered its 8th month. By now, both sides were exhausted. The council had lost over 1 million beings. Humanity had lost 300,000. But numbers did not tell the whole story. The council was fracturing. Humanity was united. Dr. Sujin worked in a hidden laboratory on Europa Station, one of Jupiter's moons. She had not slept properly in weeks. Her eyes were red from staring at computer screens. Her hands shook from too much coffee. But she had done it. She had found a way to beat the council's shields. "Admiral Somi needs to see this," she told her assistant, a young engineer named Heywan. Heywan looked at the data. Her eyes went wide. "Dr. Sujin, this changes everything." "I know," Sujin said. "Call the Admiral." An hour later, Admiral Somi stood in the laboratory looking at Dr. Sujin's work. "Explain it to me like I am 5 years old." Sujin brought up a holographic display. "The Council's shields are designed to stop energy weapons and fast-moving projectiles. They work by detecting incoming threats and creating a barrier, but they have limits. They can only stop things moving faster than a certain speed." "So we shoot slower?" Somi asked. "Exactly. We use old-fashioned kinetic weapons. Rocks, basically. But we accelerate them to just below the speed that triggers the shields. They pass right through and hit the ships directly." Somi stared at the display. "You are telling me we can beat their advanced shields with rocks?" "Rocks moving at 20,000 kilometers per second, Sujin corrected. "But yes, essentially rocks," Somi laughed. It was the first time she had laughed in months. "The Council has the best defensive technology in the galaxy, and we are going to kill them with rocks. I love it. How fast can we deploy this?" 2 weeks to retrofit our ships. "Maybe 3. You have 1 week," Somi said. "Get it done." While Dr. Sujin worked on the weapons, humanity deployed another innovation. Commander Wu Bin had proposed a new fighter design. It was small, cheap, and carried only 2 weapons. But it was controlled by an artificial intelligence that could coordinate with hundreds of other fighters simultaneously. "We cannot match the Council's individual ships," Wu Bin explained to his pilots. "But we can overwhelm them with numbers and coordination. For every fighter they destroy, we build 2 more. They cannot keep up." The new fighters, called swarmers, cost 1/10 what a traditional fighter cost. They were barely more than an engine, a weapon, and a computer. The cockpit was tiny and uncomfortable. Many did not even have cockpits. They were fully automated, but they worked. The first test came in the Rigel system. 50 Council ships faced 300 human swarmers. The Council expected an easy victory. After all, each Council ship was worth 10 human fighters. They did not account for the swarmers' coordination. The fighters moved like a school of fish, each one reacting instantly to what the others did. When a Council ship targeted one fighter, 20 others attacked from different angles. When Council shields adapted to one attack pattern, the swarmers switched to another pattern instantly. The battle lasted 2 hours. 43 Council ships were destroyed. The humans lost 214 fighters. But 214 fighters cost less than 5 Council ships. And the surviving 86 swarmers moved on to the next target. Across human space, factories worked day and night building more swarmers. Assembly lines that once built transport ships now built weapons. Miners who once dug for minerals now built bombs. Teachers taught children mathematics so they could calculate trajectories for railguns. Every human contributed to the war effort. Ambassador. Taesung received Counselor Yelnara's message about negotiation. He brought it to Premier Hajun and Admiral Somi. They met in a secure room deep under Earth's surface. "She wants to talk," Taesung said. "She represents the peace faction in the Council. 7 species support her. They want to end the war. Do you trust her?" Hajun asked. "I trust that she is terrified," Taesung replied. "I trust that the Council is falling apart. I trust that they are desperate." Somi leaned back in her chair. "What are they offering?" "Associate membership. Limited autonomy. Shared technology." "No," Hajun said immediately. "We did not fight this war to become second-class citizens. Full membership or nothing." "They will never agree to that," Taesung said. "It would mean admitting they were wrong to attack us." "Then the war continues," Somi said. "We are winning. Every day we fight, we get stronger. Every day they fight, they get weaker." "Time is on our side," Hajun nodded. "Tell Yelnara we will negotiate when they offer us full membership. Equal status. A seat on the Council with the same rights as any other species. Until then, we keep fighting." Taesung sent the message. Yelnara's response came back within hours. The Council would never agree to those terms. The war would continue. "Then we need to show them they have no choice," Somi said. She pulled up a tactical map. "Dr. Sujin's new weapons will be ready in 2 days. Commander Wu Bin has 3,000 swarmers ready for deployment. It is time to hit them where it hurts." She pointed to a system on the map. "Verithos Prime, the Council's capital. We are going to attack the heart of their government." Hajun and Taesung stared at her. "That is suicide," Hajun said. "Verithos is the most heavily defended system in the galaxy." "Exactly," Somi said. "Which is why they will never expect us to attack it. We lost 300,000 people in this war. Billions more are ready to die if necessary. The Council does not understand that. They think we are fighting a normal war with normal stakes. We need to show them they are wrong." "How many ships can you spare for this?" Taesung asked. "Every single one we have," Somi said. "If we are going to do this, we do it all the way. We bring every warship, every fighter, every weapon we can move. We hit Verithos with everything and we make them understand that nowhere is safe. Not even their capital. The plan was insane. It would leave human colonies undefended. It would risk everything on a single attack. If it failed, humanity would be defenseless. Do it," Hajun said. 5 days later, the human fleet arrived at Verithos Prime. 400 ships, 3,000 fighters, and a desperation that burned like a star. The Council's defensive fleet numbered 800 ships. They were confident. They had superior numbers, superior position, and the home advantage. Admiral Somi stood on the bridge of the Defiance and gave a simple order. "All ships attack. No retreat, no surrender. Make them remember this day." The human ships charged straight into the Council formation. No tactics, no clever maneuvers. Just raw aggression. The Council fleet moved to intercept, expecting the humans to fall back or try to outflank them. The humans did neither. They crashed into the Council lines like a hammer. Dr. Sujin's new weapons fired. Tungsten rods accelerated to just below shield threshold speeds. They punched through Council shields like they were not there. Ships that had seemed invincible suddenly exploded. Commander Wu Bin's swarmers swarmed over Council carriers like insects. Individually, they were weak. Together, they were unstoppable. They coordinated their attacks with perfect precision, overwhelming Council point defenses, and then humanity unveiled its most terrifying weapon. The suicide ships out old freighters and mining vessels, stripped of everything except engines and explosives, flew directly into Council capital ships. Their crews, volunteers all, steered their ships into collision courses and jumped to escape pods at the last second. Some did not make it. Some stayed with their ships to ensure they hit their targets. The Council fleet tried to adapt, but human tactics changed faster than they could respond. When the Council focused on the suicide ships, the regular fleet attacked. When they engaged the fleet, the fighters struck. When they tried to fall back, the humans pressed forward. Councillor Ithrex watched from a command ship in orbit above Verithos Prime. He had commanded the Council military for 30 years. He had never seen anything like this. "They are not trying to win," he said in horror. "They are trying to kill as many of us as possible before they die." He was right. Human ships with disabled engines continued fighting. Human fighters with no ammunition rammed Council ships. When the Defiance itself took critical damage, Admiral Somi ordered the crew to evacuate and set the ship on a collision course with the largest Council dreadnought in the system. She stayed on the bridge alone, steering her dying ship toward the enemy. "All ships, this is Admiral Somi," she broadcast. "Continue the attack. Make every shot count. Make them pay for every meter of space. Show them what it costs to attack humanity." The Defiance hit the dreadnought at full speed. Both ships exploded. The explosion was so large it was visible from the surface of Verithos Prime. The battle raged for 8 hours. When it was over, 200 human ships were destroyed. The survivors limped away, damaged and barely functional. But the Council fleet had lost 400 ships, half their defensive force, and everyone in the galaxy had watched it happen. On Verithos Prime, in the Council chamber, High Chancellor Vormak stared at the casualty reports. 400 ships, tens of thousands dead. The human fleet had been smaller, weaker, and less advanced. But they had fought with such ferocity that they had nearly won. Councillor Yelnara entered the chamber. "They are animals," Vormak said. "They fight Li." The day after the vote, Ambassador Tae Sung received an official invitation to return to the Council chamber. This time not as a supplicant, as an equal. He stood in the same spot where he had stood 9 months earlier. The chamber looked different now. 7 species had new representatives. High Chancellor Vormak was gone, forced to resign in disgrace. In his place sat Councillor Yelnara, the energy being who had warned them from the beginning. "Ambassador Tae Sung," Yelnara said. Her voice carried through the chamber with dignity. "The Galactic Council formally invites humanity to join as a full member. Equal status, equal rights, equal voice in all decisions. Do you accept?" Tae Sung looked around the chamber. He saw Councillor Ithrex, the military commander who had ordered the attack on New Sol. He saw representatives from species that had celebrated when the bioweapon was deployed. He saw beings who had called humanity primitive barbarians. "I have conditions," Tae Sung said. The chamber stirred with surprise. Yelnara gestured for him to continue. "First, all Council ships must leave human space immediately. Second, the Council will provide full reparations for the colonies destroyed. Third, all beings responsible for war crimes, including the deployment of the bioweapon at New Sol, will stand trial. Fourth, the Council will share all technology freely with humanity. And fifth," he paused, "humanity will retain full military independence. We will not be subject to Council command in matters of our own defense." Ithrex rose angrily from his seat. "Those terms are outrageous. We are offering you membership. You should be grateful." "We are not grateful," Tae Sung said coldly. "We are victorious. You started this war, you lost. These are the terms of your surrender." "Surrender." Ithrex's voice rose. "We did not surrender. We are offering peace." "You are offering peace because you cannot win," Tae Sung replied. "Because your economy is collapsing. Because your military is broken. Because half your species are threatening to leave the council. You are offering peace because you have no other choice. That is surrender, counselor. Call it what you like, but we both know the truth. Yelnara spoke before Ithrex could respond. The council will consider your conditions. We will vote in 3 days. Until then, both sides will maintain the current ceasefire. Taesung bowed and left the chamber. On Earth, Premier Hajun met with her cabinet. The mood was somber despite their military success. The casualties were staggering. 340,000 dead, 23 colonies destroyed or severely damaged. The economy was in ruins. Every resource had been poured into the war effort. Can we even afford peace? Asked the Minister of Economics, a tired-looking man named Kyung-soo. We spent everything we had on this war. Our shipyards are empty. Our treasury is empty. If the council decides to resume fighting, they will not, Admiral Somi said. She was attending the meeting via hologram from a hospital ship. She had survived the destruction of the Defiance, barely. Half her body was covered in burns. The council is more broken than we are. They lost over 1.6 million beings. Their member species are in open revolt. They need peace more than we do. But can we trust them? Hajun asked. No, Somi said bluntly. We can never trust them. That is why we need to remain strong. We need to rebuild our fleet. We need to fortify our colonies. We need to be ready in case they attack again. That will take years, Kyung-soo said. Decades, maybe. Then we have work to do, Hajun replied. In council space, the vote approached. Yelnara worked tirelessly to secure support for Taesung's conditions. She met with representatives from dozens of species, arguing that accepting the terms was better than continuing the war. They are asking for too much, complained one representative, a bird-like creature with blue feathers. They want reparations. They want technology. They want trials. They want to keep their military independence. Why should we agree to any of this? Because the alternative is worse, Yelnara said patiently. If we refuse, the war continues. More of our people die. More of our resources are wasted. The humans have proven they will never surrender. They will fight until one of us is extinct. Can you guarantee it will not be us? The representative had no answer. Ithrex led the opposition. He argued that accepting Taesung's terms would make the council look weak. If we bow to humanity, every aggressive species in the galaxy will think they can challenge us. The council's authority will mean nothing. The council's authority already means nothing, Yelnara countered in the debate. 7 species are leaving. Dozens more question our leadership. We lost this war, counselor. We can accept that with dignity and build a new relationship with humanity. Or we can continue fighting until the council ceases to exist. The choice is clear. On the day of the vote, the chamber was packed. Representatives from every species attended. The tension was visible. Yelnara read Taesung's conditions one by one. After each condition, she called for a vote. The results were close, but each condition passed. 8 votes to 4, 7 votes to 5, 9 votes to 3. When the final vote passed, Yelnara looked across the chamber at Taesung. The council accepts your conditions. We will withdraw from human space. We will provide reparations. We will share our technology. And we will respect your independence. Welcome to the Galactic Council, Ambassador. As equals, Taesung bowed. On behalf of humanity, I accept. The chamber erupted in a mix of applause and protest. But it was done. The war was over. That night, Taesung sat alone in his quarters looking out at the stars. His assistant Da-Yun entered with a report. Admiral Somi wants to know when you are returning to Earth, she said. Soon, Taesung replied. But there is work to do here first. Treaties to finalize. Details to negotiate. It will take months. Sir, do you think this peace will last? Taesung was quiet for a long moment. Honestly, I do not know. The council species have been in power for 3,000 years. They are not used to being challenged. Some of them will never accept us as equals. They will look for ways to undermine us to prove we do not belong. So what do? We stay strong, Taesung said. We rebuild. We show them that humanity is not a temporary problem that will go away. We are here to stay. And if they ever decide to test us again, he smiled grimly. We remind them what happened the first time. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. The war was over. Their sons and daughters would come home. The killing would stop. But those who had fought knew better. They understood that this was not truly the end. It was just a pause. Commander Wubin visited a cemetery where thousands of pilots were buried. He found the grave of Lieutenant Sung Hee, one of his best pilots. She had died at Verithos Prime, ramming her fighter into a council carrier after her weapons failed. She was 23 years old. "We won," Wubin said to the gravestone. "I do not know if you can hear me. I do not know if it matters. But we won. The council will think twice before they mess with humanity again. You did that. All of you did that." He placed a small flag on the grave and moved to the next one. There were 3,000 graves in this cemetery alone. Tens of thousands more across human space. In the Europa Station laboratory, Dr. Su Jin continued her work. The war was over, but humanity needed to remain prepared. She was developing new shields now, based on captured council technology, and new weapons, and new ships. Because she understood what the politicians did not want to say out loud, this peace was temporary. Humanity had humiliated the council. Some species would want revenge, some would want to prove that humanity's victory was just luck, and when they came, humanity needed to be ready. Colonel Jun-gi trained new soldiers in boarding tactics. "The council fights ship to ship," he told his trainees. "We fight any way we can. If they come back, we need to be ready to take the fight to their bridges, to their engine rooms, to their command centers. We need to be ready to fight in ways they cannot imagine." The trainees nodded. They were young, most of them teenagers when the war started. They had grown up watching the casualty reports. They knew the price of freedom. Premier Ha Jun gave a speech on the anniversary of the war's end. She stood at the memorial wall where the names of every human casualty were engraved. 340,000 names. "We paid a terrible price for peace," she said. "We lost mothers and fathers. We lost sons and daughters. We lost friends and lovers and heroes. They died so that humanity could remain free, so that we could stand as equals in the galaxy. We must never forget what they sacrificed, and we must never let their sacrifice be in vain." She looked directly into the cameras. "To the council species watching this broadcast, I say this: we do not want war. We never wanted war. We want to build and explore and live in peace. But if you force us to fight again, you will find us stronger than before. You will find us prepared. You will find us unyielding. We told you once not to attack humanity. You refused to listen. We will not give that warning twice." Across the galaxy, council species watched the broadcast. Some felt shame. Some felt anger. Some felt fear. But all of them understood one thing clearly. Humanity was no longer a minor species to be pushed around. They were a power in the galaxy, a power that had proven it would do whatever necessary to survive. In the council chamber, Yelnara met with Ambassador Tae-sung. "Your premier's speech was very aggressive," she said. "It was honest, Tae-su.